there's no fault at all. But in this world, Krishna's perfect. He's pavitra, supremely pure. But whoever we're with, they have their faults, they have their shortcomings, and they have their attributes. Srila Prabhupada writes in this purport that a devotee is like a honeybee, and is looking for the nectar of the attributes. And it is a great obstruction to our path to take on the mentality of a fly, to seek out the faults, to seek out the impurities. So Sri Haridas Pandit, because he was so intensely joyful, seeing and appreciating the good qualities in other devotees, he was blessed by Krishna with this higher taste where day and night there was nothing else he wanted to do except chant the holy names and glories of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And because he had so much potency of God's grace in the way he did it, the most advanced Paramhamsa Vaishnavas would sit for hours and days and weeks and months and years and listen to him. And that's Haridas Pandit. He told Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami that Vrindavan Das Thakur and Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat has elaborately explained the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. But he has not gone into much detail about the Lord's later pastimes as a sannyasi. You have heard from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami these pastimes. You should write the book Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then there were so many other great devotees living in Vrindavan at the time. And he lists many of them by names. One of them, Bhugarva Goswami, was also a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit, Chaitanya Das. They were all encouraging, pushing him. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami felt himself so unqualified. And he writes about himself. He said, "It would be shameless of me to think that I could write about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Who am I? What qualification? I have no qualification." Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in another place reveals his heart. And before I say, you've already heard it, but it's nice to hear it again. Prabhupada explained, when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is speaking these things, he's not saying it just to get the reputation of a humble person. He really, from the core of his heart, is feeling it. He says, I am the most sinful, I am the most fallen, I am lower than a worm stool. How many people can actually think themselves like that? Well, if you went to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist asked you, "Please tell me, what do you think about yourself?" And he said, "I am the most sinful, I am the most fallen, and sir, from the core of my heart, I do believe that I am lower than the worm in stool." You put an injection in your somewhere. You probably tie your arms behind your back. Send you to a mental institution. And if one of us in our state of consciousness is actually thinking like this, that may be what we need. Because that's a serious, depressed state. Lower than a cat or a dog, that's not so low. And a worm, in a nice garden or something. A worm in stool. And, it's not talking about cow dung, it's talking about you don't get any lower than that materially. Because worms relish. We will not go into details. So that exam I've analyzed it very carefully. Studies of this account. If you're thinking like that, that's a very, very depressed state. A huge disorder of an inferiority complex. But in his state, thinking himself in such a humble condition, he is totally giving his heart, his mind, and his life to the shelter of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, to God. And in doing that, he's seeing the greatest of the great. And he's feeling a connection to the greatest of the great. He's feeling the current of infinite divine mercy in the greatest of the great, of God, of Krishna. And therefore, for a Vaishnava, this type of humility is the most positive possible state of consciousness, because it frees us of all the ego that blocks our connection to the absolute truth and to the current of the grace of Krishna, of Sri Radha. And when that obstacle is removed of ego, and we fully take shelter, and we fully appreciate and find our joy in Krishna's beauty instead of our beauty, in Krishna's knowledge instead of our knowledge, in Krishna's strength instead of our strength. And when we take shelter and deeply appreciate Krishna, we become empowered by God's opulences. We become living instruments of God's grace. Not thinking that I'm the doer, but just being grateful for what is being done through me by the divine. Nothing so beautiful, nothing so positive, nothing so satisfying to the soul. And he said, I am more sinful than Jagai and Madhai. Anyone who hears my name becomes impious. And anyone who speaks my name becomes sinful. Now, this is his way of expressing his incredible appreciation and love for God.